it can be factorized. So if you want to factorize this, I'm sure you can see that we are starting with a constant, then we've got the k squared term. Right? You can rearrange, then you have to factor out and all that. It will make things complicated. So, which two factors of minus 6 was the coefficient of k squared here? I take you back to the basics. We have our constant term and we have our k squared, right? So if you multiply 6 by minus 1, you get minus 6. Minus 6 can be written as minus 6 times 1. It's also equal to 6 times minus 1, and it's equal to 3 times minus 2, and also minus 3 times positive 2. So among these combinations of factors of minus 6, which one can we use here to get a positive 1? Which two factors add up to 1? It's 3 and what? Minus 2. So when you factorize this now, you need to be aware that you can split up this k here into 3k minus 2k, right? Then you can then carry on and factorize. I'm not going to go there because I'm not teaching the basics here of factorizing the trinomial. So if you factorize this, you should get 3, right? To be 3, you open your brackets there. Obviously, if you want to get it, if you want to get this 6 here, it means you're supposed to have 3 times whatever number is going to be there. It's going to give you a positive 6. So you have to put a what? A 2 there, right? Then, now you need to be very careful now whether you are going to put a minus k here or you put a plus k here. Okay, so let's test. 3 times 2 gives me 6. 3 times k gives me 3k. Minus k times 2, if I add the 2, I'll get the positive k. Minus k times k gives me minus k squared. What? Remove it to this position. Okay, but you need to be very careful in terms of how you get those factors. Because the k is negative. So how did you deal with the negative of the k squared? Huh? So you factorize by a common factor. Alright? I hope your answer will come up, but it's correct. It's correct. Right, so this is all over. If I take out the common factor in the denominator, I'll get 3 times 1 plus k. Right? Then divide it. Now I can put multiply it by there. Right? The denominator here is 1, so I can write that as 1 over k minus 3. Are you following? Then this division here, I can replace by multiplication so that I can factorize this denominator. I'll get k minus 1 times k plus 1. This is all over. Then I can factorize that numerator. I'll get 2 times k plus 2. Okay? Now let's cancel out some of the terms. Now be aware that 1 plus k is the same as k plus 1. Do you agree with me there? 1 plus k is the same as k plus 1. So this k plus 1 and that 1 plus k, they cancel out. Okay? Then this 2 plus k and that k plus 2, they also cancel out. Alright? Now we have got 3 minus k, and then in the denominator we have got a k minus 3. Right? It means if I want to simplify, I have to factor out a negative. Right? So here, this 3 minus k, I can simplify it and write it by switching the positions of the 3 and the minus k, and then I'll factor out minus 1. So that I can create a binomial which is exactly like that. Okay, so I'm going to factor out minus 1 here after rearranging to create a binomial like that. Does that make sense? Huh? So the next step, okay, on the next page, okay, I'm going to rewrite this as minus k plus 3. Okay, I'm not going to skip a step because I don't want to confuse anybody. So this will be minus k plus 3. This is all over. Minus k plus 3 all over 3, this 3 here. Okay? So all over 3 times 1 over k minus 3. Okay? Times, because there is multiplication. I'm just rewriting all the terms that are left now. Yeah, because we converted the division, the multiplication, then we swap the numerator and the denominator. Remember that. I converted the division sign to multiplication. Therefore, yes, you cannot work with fractions when there's division. You always have to convert division to what? Multiplication. Every time you've got fractions. Okay? It's better to multiply fractions than to divide them. Okay? So from I'm now here. So I've got times k minus 1 over 2. Okay? So this will be times k minus 1 over 2. Okay? I'm rewriting what's left after the cancellation of like terms. Right? Then, if I want to simplify this further, I'm going to factor out minus 1 in that numerator. Right? This becomes times 1 over k minus 3 times k minus 1 over 2. Okay? Now, again, now we can see that this cancels with that. Right? You following? Okay? So our numerator, we are going to have a minus 1 times positive 1 times k minus 1, which means our numerator will be minus k minus 1. The denominator will be 3 times 2, which is a 6. Okay? If you want to divide this as minus, then write k minus 1 all over 6. Means you put the minus outside. Okay? Are you following? Is there anybody who has got any question before I move on to addition and subtraction of algebraic fractions? Is there anybody who has got a question? Right, if you don't have a question, then let's move on to algebraic